Hello everyone and welcome to our webinar. We are delighted that you're able to give up your valuable time to join us, whether it's morning, afternoon or evening, wherever you are most welcome. Please do say hello in the chat and where you are in the world. We love to see where you're all from. And of course, after the webinar, we'll make sure that we send you an email with the links and the deck so that you have everything there as well. So you don't have to worry about taking notes or anything like that throughout the webinar. So this webinar is a real first for us. We're going to be looking at some of the latest features and new products that we're incredibly proud to launch. And answering your questions in the chat will also be the head of our support services, and that's Ivan. So please do put in any questions at all, anything whatsoever, whether it's about ThingLink in general, or it might be about the new features and new products. So without further ado, I think it's about time. I would love to introduce you to two of my closest colleagues, and that is John. John, welcome to the webinar. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much.
Brilliant. And also Alexey, who's our head of product. Alexey, how are you?
I'm good. Hello, everyone. Glad to be here.
Excellent. So John, proudly, you are our Chief Operating Officer. So please do tell us a little bit more about yourself. We'd love to hear.
Yeah, I'm just really excited to be working on products like this with the team and bring them out. We've been working on this one for a long time and really excited to see what the community does with it. So I'm really happy to be here. First webinar.
Yeah, first of many, of course.
Yeah.
And Alexey, you're, people know and love ThingLink. And, you know, to actually see you, because you don't often come on the webinars, to see you, a real person who has this amazing capacity to be visionary and distill Ula's thoughts and ideas and make it all land, make it all happen. That's exactly what you do. So we're really pleased that you're here to meet everybody.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's also my first webinar as well. And I basically work on shaping the main parts of ThingLink, from multimedia editor to scenario builder, as well as our XR roadmap, including everything we do around like spatial computing and devices like Apple Vision Pro.
Amazing. And I know that we've got people joining us from the Apple communities. We've got partners as well who will be joining us, and also I see we've got Saif joining us from Finland. Hi Saif. So I know that many of you already know and love ThingLink, and it's so difficult to try and sum up ThingLink in a really short sentence because it just does so much. And as you know, over the years, and John's going to be giving you insight into just how much ThingLink has grown over the last 15 years. But if I could say it in one simple way, it helps you, your creators, to take the real world, real places, real environments, situations and stories and bring them to life as immersive experiences. And here's this wonderful little 3D object that I've been able to embed into this slide. And when you get the slides, you'll be able to click and play with that. But there's a little bit of information about Vygotsky, who is a theorist, of which Ula had a wonderful vision about creating environments that anything can be an interactive environment. And of course, you'll start to hear now a different term, which is landing, and that is about spatial learning. So we've been talking about interactive learning for a long time. We've been talking about immersive learning, but now, of course, technology has afforded us this ability to create new types of spatial learning. And I think that's a really good point for me to hand over the mic to John. Take it away, John.
Yeah, thanks so much. Yeah, so with the launch of ThingLink Capture and this new update, the ThingLink for Apple Vision Pro, we're really proud to really announce and show today how we work across the Apple ecosystem. That means that ThingLink can work on iOS devices, it works on Mac, and now it works on Vision Pro. And there's this kind of end-to-end like spatial learning creation, but also spatial learning experiences that can happen on all these different great devices. So for those of you who are new to, I know it's Alexey and Maya's first webinar, but some of you might be joining us for the first time. I just wanted to give you a little bit of a background on the company. We've been around for a while. We started with making different types of media interactive, starting with 2D, then to video, and then to 360 media and images. But then we got into 3D objects and supporting the annotation to bring more context to those 3D objects. So anything can be an interface for learning. The other thing that we did around that time is we built a scenario builder, which makes it really easy to create different types of learning experiences. And we're going to go over some examples of that in a second. And now we're really at that intersection between XR and spatial computing and AI in terms of creation and learner support and assessment. So that's where we are right now. And it's a great time to be talking about these new products. So first things first, before we get into some examples, we just want to make it really clear that ThingLink has a lot of different cross-vertical use cases. So there's obviously a lot in business and government that could be for employee training or customer education or safety or virtual tours. But then you get into, whether it's CTE or TVET, higher education in K through 12. This is core to where ThingLink came from, is in education. And we still have tons of these great examples that we run through. So I'll start taking you through a few more in the business and enterprise standpoint, and then Luis is going to take you through some education examples.
What I love about this is that it's completely lifelong learning, and it doesn't matter whether you're learning at work, at home, early years, right the way through. We never stop learning, do we? And it just shows that immersive learning and skills development is really lifelong, and ThingLink can meet you there.
That's right. So again, like if you haven't seen the product before, like a little bit of a primer, it's really easy to drop these like rich media hotspots on any piece of media. So again, like think of this as a hospital room. Maybe this is an onboarding for someone that's going through nurse training. It's really easy to bring context to the different objects that are in the room into that piece of media. Not only can you put in other types of media inside these hotspots, but you can also put in embed code. So you can get live feeds of data and information to really make it as realistic as humanly possible. And again, it's trying to get that real world understanding from that real world experience happening in the digital format. Another example, this is a 360 image where again, you're adding a lot of context into what are these different pieces of machinery? Like, how do I use them? Give me some step-by-step instructions on how these work. This can be in rooms, but they can also be outdoors and other types of settings as well. I think we can keep going. And this is an example of a kind of a safety awareness or a safety course that's in our scenario builder. So again, this is now taking a lot of those scenes that are created in ThingLink, and then you're giving people the ability to branch. You can add questions and spatial assessments, and a lot of other different types of learning experiences and that you can create really easily.
That's so interesting, John, because we've talked a lot on other webinars about failure-based learning and how important it is that we learn from our mistakes. And you've just given everyone an example there where it's okay to make mistakes and fail and just, try it again and make sure that you can, fail in a safe space. So, of course, it doesn't just stop there. And we've talked about ThingLink being used in education. And there's a really kind of nice sweet spot there where we're seeing escape rooms and breakouts being used for professional learning, but also in the classroom as well. And of course, with ThingLink, you can even turn your classroom into an escape room by having, a hidden kind of QR code on the wall or use the AR, those kinds of things. So it's really easy for you to make those escape rooms and breakouts using our multimedia editor or even with the scenario builder. And then thinking about student creation as well. And I just love this. This is an example, and Andreas, a member of our team, he's actually been able to take real life objects like this leaf and add hotspots to them. And students can go out and do this as well. So obviously developing their own digital media skills, developing their presentation skills. And these are digital artifacts that they can keep forever. It's not like an art gallery where things are put up on the wall and then taken down. They can actually take images, 360 images of anything in their environment and then make those interactive and keep. So I think there's some really nice use cases there that demonstrate ThingLink across the ages and lifelong learning. But John, this is a good of you to because there's so many ways that ThingLink plays with lots of different other tools.
It's something we're really proud of. We've been investing a lot into interoperability across different ecosystems. Like we're talking about the Apple ecosystem here, but I also want to make a note of if you want to integrate ThingLink into your LMS, If you want to use other best-in-class creation tools, like start that media that you're creating in Canva and then easily add it into ThingLink. And you can deploy ThingLink on different types of devices. We've also been investing into accessibility, security, data privacy. So there's a lot of things that we're doing like behind the scenes to try to make this not just a product that's just for creation, but it's really like that layer of immersive learning infrastructure that you can add on to your set of tools and add on to your LMS to really augment the creation. Just like Louise was saying earlier, in education, it's not just teachers that can create the content. It can also be students that do project-based learning through ThingLink. And the same thing is happening in the business world. Sometimes you have an L&D department, but sometimes you want to enable and empower those subject matter experts in your organization that might be about to retire. How do you try to leverage the fact that they're still there to share and pass that information on to the next generation of the workforce? So that kind of democratization of these experiences is really important to us, and try to give that competency back to the organization.
And of course, with that interoperability is the ability to write back the results and the data as well. And we've talked a lot in previous webinars about it's not just compliance, it's also demonstrating competence as well. Employers don't just want to see a bit of paper, they actually want more evidence. And of course, this is what we can do.
Yeah. And it's when you have different types of interactive, immersive, and spatial learning experiences or assessments, you can measure a lot of different types of data and thus get a lot of other insights and analytics as a result. So, and a lot of this is trying to understand and get a better understanding of how fast somebody is becoming competent on a subject. How can you measure if they're learning that skill? Are they running into any speed bumps along the way? How many goals are they achieving? Like, how many times did it take them to complete something? So it's not just like pass, fail, or did they complete this? It's you really get to learn a lot more about it. And again, this is all data that we can send back to, your central nervous system, your LMS, HRS, et cetera. It's really flexible in how we can port that over.
And that's so important for the creators to be able to evaluate their own training courses, right? So Absolutely. It's not just about the individual, it's about how effective you are as an organization as well. So you can see the effectiveness of your own experiences. And of course, that now brings us on to how we can create spatial learning content.
Yeah, so really this is, think of if ThingLink has a lot of different features, these are two other really powerful parts of the ThingLink suite of features and tools. So the first thing we did was we built ThingLink Capture. And we're going to talk about how ThingLink Capture and ThingLink for Apple Vision Pro are related. So what's cool about ThingLink Capture, and Luis, you can go to the next slide. ThingLink Capture is something that we built for two reasons. First off, we support 3D models. So the annotation in 3D models can be a great interface for learning. So as you can see in that third image of the chair there at the bottom left, it says, what can you do once you have that scan? Well, you can upload it as a 3D model to ThingLink, and then you can add annotation, and you can add those contextual hotspots and learn a lot more about that 3D model. But the other thing there is this is also powering the Apple Vision Pro object recognition and object tracking experience. It's unique to this headset. And Alexey is gonna speak a little bit more about that in person later. But for now, we thought it'd be cool if Louise did a live demo, fun times, of ThingLink Capture on something that she's using at this very moment.
Okay, so yes, you've set me a challenge now, but I do have something prepared because I was trying to do it. So here I'll just pop it on the screen. I actually have my new iPad, my shiny new iPad. It is an 11-inch iPad Pro. So it has got the LiDAR capabilities built into it. And it's super easy. You can go to the App Store, download the ThingLink Capture app. It's shiny, sparkling new. So if you do download it, then please do leave us a review. I'm delighted to say that some of the reviews that have already come in haven't been published yet, I don't think, but I know that people are saying that it's super easy to use and it's a lot more and it's simple than just taking lots of images around an object. And I'm going to try and show you what I've been doing with it. So here I can go into the actual app. No, it's not letting me do that. I'm going to stop that and start again.
This is what happens when you do a live demo.
Exactly.
This is a live demo, yeah.
Exactly.
Right?
I think it's because I had it queued up for too long. So
Luis,
I had it.
You made a good point. I'll buy you some time here.
Okay.
Luis made a really important point. So ThingLink Capture, it's available now. It's in the iOS and iPad App Store. And it works on Pro devices after the 12 that have the LiDAR functionality. So, if you download it on accident without having the LiDAR functionality, that's why. So it's meant to be for Pro devices that have the scanning LiDAR capabilities into it.
Excellent.
Luis, did I buy you enough time?
You did a great job.
Thank
Thank you, Sean. That's what teammates are for. So yeah, just click on the Capture app. And here you can see that I've got a couple of ones that I've created already. Simply click the plus button and it gives you the option for object mode. So that's going to be, even if you're thinking about creating an escape room, people don't want kind of artificial objects. They want real objects in their escape room so people can, play around with them and see what they're around, or, have instructions attached to an object. So if you choose the object mode, you can see that I can scan around, and you can see the sneaky preview of what I'm seeing looking at the webinar and my desk here. And here I've got my microphone. And all I need to do is to select the object, and it places this box around the object, and you just need to center it, and then I can start scanning. So it's as simple as that. It really is. But what I've also done, and I can show you, is that coming out of that screen, I'll just go into start over now. Let's see if we can go back into it. But what I can also do is I can use an AR function, which puts that microphone next to my microphone, so you can actually see it in AR as well. So when I've done all of that, what you're able to do is you can go straight over, and I'm just going to show you now. So I'm going to stop that screen and go back into my ThingLink account. I can do this. Here we go. So if I go back into my ThingLink account, you can see that once I've taken that little scan, I'm able to upload that directly to my ThingLink account, and then I can start adding all of the little hotspots and making it completely interactive. And I did this little one in literally a few minutes, just there on my desk before the webinar started. So imagine if you took more, took a little bit longer, a little bit more care, it would be spot on. But I'll let you into a secret. I love this microphone, but I can't tell you what all the functions do. And I've already got rid of the instructions. Now, wouldn't it be easy if I just had that 3D object and I could see exactly what all the different modes were? Because I have not got a clue. So hopefully that's given you a nice little demo there. And this is our colleague Maria, who's actually showing you what it looks like as well. So and that's the object next to the real object. And as you can see, it is incredibly lifelike. So kudos to Alexey and the team for making something that's simple to work. It's free to download, so you can actually keep those 3D objects as well, just in case you wanted to export them to somewhere else. But of course, then use them directly with your Apple Vision Pro as well. So back to you.
Yeah. So again, like we were saying, another reason that we built Capture is also to power the object tracking use case for Apple Vision Pro, which is really special. And we're going to show you a demo of that in a second. So there's three core use cases of what ThingLink for Apple Vision Pro supports. And let's talk about the first one, which is really the one that's most near and dear to our hearts. So this is enhancing physical objects with digital information. So it's bringing ThingLink to the physical world that's in front of you. So if there is an object that's right in front of you, you can look at that object through the Vision Pro, and you're going to see those ThingLink hotspots. So you're going to be able to look at that object to say, what is this? How do I use this? How do I fix this? A number of different use cases on top of it. So to showcase the kind of creation flow with Capture and the on-device editing, we have a little video demo that we're going to take through. And at the end of this video, there's also what the learner sees, which is really impressive. So again, back to Andreas on the team. He is at a technical school, and this is a helicopter engine that's being scanned. So he's scanning the engine. So it doesn't just have to be small objects. This object's rather large, and it's really detailed. So he's taking a scan of that object, right? So then he's uploading that into a collection on the Vision Pro. And now this is what you see during the Vision Pro. As you can tell, the Vision Pro is a really high fidelity creation device. It's really democratizing like spatial content creation, which is why we started to build the editing experience on device. And if you saw there, we invested into supporting Apple Intelligence, so we can support the speech to text. You can also type it in. Then this is what the learner sees. The learner enters the environment and they can see that yellow mesh over the objects that are interactive. When the learner goes a bit closer, there's a moped outside. When the learner goes a bit closer, the mesh disappears and they're only going to see the hotspots, so they can interact with that engine or whatever's been scanned. They can move things around. They can get that instruction right there, right on site. And again, this gets back to, what is this? How do I use this? How do I fix this? I want more context about this before I use it. With that said, it looks really simple when we show it, but a lot of very hardcore technical and engineering work went into it. And I wanted to tee up Alexey to give you a little bit of a view behind the scenes on how we're making this work. Go ahead, Alex.
Yeah, thank you, Jonathan. And as you saw in the previous video, it's possible for you to walk into a physical space and you will see object in your physical space being recognized. But let me tell you what's going on under the hood to make object recognition and tracking possible. So what you're looking currently at on this slide is our scalable cloud-based model training pipeline for enabling those type of spatial experiences. This allows us to scale AI model training in the background as usage grows. So from a creator's perspective, it's very simple flow. You just capture using ThingLink Capture, you upload, and then AI model is being trained under the hood, and everything else just happens pretty much in the background, and you get object recognition and tracking possible as a result of that when you walk into that physical space and the object is within your view site. So that's pretty much how it works. There's definitely a lot more going on under the hood, but Jonathan, I'm passing it back to you.
Cool, thanks. No, it's taken a long time, and really it's kind of the start of the journey, because we have 3 use cases out of the gate, but we're really excited to see what the community comes back with, because we're going to be iterating this product a lot in the future. So the second use case here is being able to place that 3D model that you've made in a real world context. So the Vision Pro also gives us great pass-through. So you can take that 3D scan that you've already made, and Luis, you can go to the next slide. You can take that 3D scan and you can also put that in your physical space, even if that object is not there. So if you wanted to practice on, what's the sequential order of how I operate this machine or how I use X, Y, or Z, you could do that studying and do that review or do that onboarding or induction, before you're actually in the room. So this also it's a really powerful tool for learning when you're not in the physical space. So if you think of that first use case is in that physical space with an object that's stationary, it's right in front of you. This is taking that scan and doing it in your own space or in another kind of immersive space. The third, use case that we're now supporting is the ability to use the great ThingLink content and the 3D models that you've already worked on or 360-degree courses or scenarios. These are now working inside of Vision Pro. So we have that level of parity across the Apple ecosystem, like what we were saying earlier. Little example of this is we basically were in a window right now. Luis, you can go to the next slide. In a window right now, you can have a bunch of different ThingLink content that you've created. Again, these can be courses, they can be micro learnings, it could be full-on scenarios. These are going to show in a window right now. This works in a window on Vision Pro, and you can still leverage the hand tracking for navigation. But what's coming is we're going to be able to, in the future, support more of a cinematic view, so it feels like a much more immersive experience that can be navigated around. But as you can already see, the images that are there, you can upload really, really high quality files to make a really high fidelity experience. Oh, Luis, I think you're on mute.
We've got a question that's just come in, and I
Okay.
thought it was quite nice to put onto the screen because this actually tees Alexey up quite nicely. Someone was saying, could you please add turntable mode and the ability to scan smaller objects at some point? I'm struggling to scan small objects such as war games, miniatures and terrain. And I think that's Jed from Southampton. Thank you for asking that question, Jed. Is that something that might be in the future?
Yeah, definitely. We've been thinking about this to simplify scanning 3D objects, and we actually have a turntable that we've been experimenting with at our office. So yeah, sometime in the future, maybe later this year, we'll add support for turntable, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, I think it does help if we do a sort of tips for taking 3D object captures. I did find myself that if I put something in a table in the middle of the room, it does make it easier to kind of like walk about. So if you've got any tips that you want to share with us as well, we'd love to hear your tips and how you're getting on. Thanks, Jed. Keep the questions coming. And Alexey, now you're going to move on and talk exactly about what's coming next.
Yeah, I'll touch briefly on on two basically very important things coming up to ThingLink for Apple Vision Pro product later this year. So the first one is so basically one of the areas where we are really excited about on our roadmap, especially in the context of Apple Vision Pro, is what we call image anchor-based spatial annotations. What this means in practice is basically a shift from thinking about content as something tied to a specific tracked object, as you've seen in previous slides, to something that can live anywhere in your physical space. So when you currently annotate using ThingLink for Apple Vision Pro, you are basically attaching information to tracked objects like actual physical objects. What we're building next is basically an ability to place interactive hotspots into an environment around you. So you can anchor content to a wall, to a machine in your space, to a specific location in a room. You can make hotspots floating, or so without needing to do precise object tracking. So this opens up a lot of powerful use cases. Thinking about training, think about training scenarios, like guided workflows, spatial instructions in your physical space, where the context is the space itself, not just a single object in your physical space. So that's number one. And moving to a second one is another important direction on our roadmap is shared spaces. With shared spaces in ThingLink for Apple Vision Pro, we are moving from individual experiences, like we showed previously during this webinar, to collaborative experiences. What this basically means is that multiple users can be in the same physical or virtual or mixed environment and see the same content that you are seeing. So instead of one person going through a training or exploring a model alone, teams, colleagues can actually experience it together. They can walk around the same 3D object, discuss it in real time, interact with hotspots, follow instructions together, stay full in sync, discuss while they do that. So from a product perspective, we are basically enabling shared understanding in a physical and virtual space. And that's really the promise of spatial computing we're really looking forward to and really excited about. So not just immersive experiences, but connected ones where people can learn, explore, make decisions together. So yeah, two I think very important things coming up to our ThingLink for Apple Vision Pro roadmap later this year. So please follow us for additional updates in the coming few months. But Luis, let me pass the mic back to you.
Thanks, Alexey. There's some lovely comments that are coming through. People are saying, whoa, that's just super impressive, and it's great to collaborate as well. And I see Andreas is on. Andreas, you've seen some nice videos with you in as well. We can't thank you enough for all of the videos that you make, enabling us to showcase those as well. And Kimberly, really impressive. It is all incredible. We started off the webinar thinking about how ThingLink has grown over the years as technology has grown, and we've remained a solid partner with our creators and educators throughout the last 15 years. So you can only imagine what comes next, and we'll be right there with people developing ThingLink according to how they can make advantage of new technologies. So if you've got any more questions, I think that's a really nice opportunity just to throw it back to both you, John, and Alexey. Is there any further comments or any parting shots?
While we buy a little bit of time, for the questions. If you could go back to the first of the roadmap suggestions, that one, the anchor-based. The other thing that I think that's really cool about this, and Alex, I'm just, how excited I am, and a lot of folks in the community are about this too, is we've already gotten requests of, hey, ThingLink Capture is amazing, but like, what if I want to capture an image, or sorry, what if I want to capture an object that's far too large to do a scan of? Well, this is a way around that. As long as that, and that could be a huge machine, it could be an airplane, it could be a helicopter, as long as it's stationary, this is going to allow you to still, leverage the functionality in that space, and then overlay it onto those stationary, much larger objects. And then if there are other smaller objects in the space, then you can use object tracking. So it could be a mixture of anchor-based and object tracking. And I think there's a lot of really interesting questions there. We see a question just came in. Good.
Yeah, and someone
was able to buy some time. There we go.
Brilliant. And I think this is Jed as well from Southampton. As much as he loves his Apple gear, he's been a Mac user since '87. He's wondering about the support for MetaQuest as well.
Yeah. Actually, Luis, if you wouldn't mind going back to the interoperability slide while I start to go back to this question. So just to be super clear, the things we're doing for the Apple Vision Pro, they're only like that object tracking, that is only possible with that headset, because that headset is allowing us to do things that we can't do in other headsets. That said, ThingLink XR is deployed. We have native apps across the ecosystem. So we have native apps with the Quest, with Pico, with HTC, with Class VR. We just went live with the new Samsung Android XR Galaxy XR device. And we intend to continue to invest in interoperability to make sure that ThingLink is a great tool in your arsenal for whatever headset you want to use. But in addition to the headsets, we also have invested a lot in immersive rooms to support content in immersive rooms, and we work on mobile and we work on PCs. So again, it's however you want to create and however you want to deploy. That's where we have your back, and that's been a really big part of our kind of like strategy and our roadmap. So yes, we've supported Meta for a while now, and we have a native app. That native app is available in the Meta store, but it's also available through MDMs like Arbor XR or Manage XR if you have a fleet of devices that are managed.
Brilliant. Thanks, John. Any other questions? We've had a question which is about devices. And of course, if you want further information, Ivan's going to be putting together support pages about the ThingLink Capture. If you go to the app itself in the App Store, there'll be links to the support pages. And as these questions come in, it is a new product. We'll make sure that we update our FAQ as well. That'll be on ThingLink and through the App Store. So if there's no more questions, I think that's a wonderful opportunity to bring our webinar to a close. Jed's just saying, really happy to see you pushing into these interesting XR areas with ThingLink. As always, Jed, we are delighted that University of Southampton and you are part of our community. And if people do want to develop their skills in XR, we do have our own XR experts course, and we also have our ThingLink certified trainer community, and we'd love all of you to be part of that as well. So all that's left for me to say is, firstly, thank you to John and Alexey for being on your first webinar, first of many. It's been absolutely amazing to see all the participation as well as the features explained so clearly. I think we've done an excellent job at that. And maybe we'll have another webinar in about 6 months' time or something where we can come back and showcase even more use cases and examples.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
Case studies. And if you've got any ideas as well of cases that you want to share that we can create case studies from, we'd love to see those as well. So thank you to all of you for joining us and giving up your valuable time for being part of this webinar. We hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, your evening, wherever you are in the world. So all that's left to say is keep safe, everybody. Thank you so much, and we can't wait to see you.
Thanks, everybody. We're looking
Thanks,
forward
everyone.
to see what you create. Take care.